Join today for another BattleTech book review, this time Voidbreaker by Bryan Young. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be doing a book review for the BattleTech novel Voidbreaker by Bryan Young, which just came out in the last month or two, I believe. So, as I've posted these videos to a Facebook group, I've had people there ask for like non-spoiler parts, so I'm going to talk about non-spoiler parts before I get to the spoiler section, which I will clearly tell you when we're there. Then it is a fairly new book. So, okay, where to start? So the overall plot here is that Clan Seafox, I should note that this is during the Ill Clan era. So, Clan Seafox has bought up a bunch of Comstar's old assets spread around, which include the HPG facilities, and they are trying to get them back online. So they assign one of their agents to go and try to find Tucker Harwell, who is the one person that's managed to get one HPG back online, and he has suffered as a result of this. So this is continuing a plot line that started back in the Dark Age. And at one point, a rogue offshoot of Comstar grabbed him. His sister was working for them, and they tortured him and probably caused him some level of brain damage, if I recall correctly from the book, due to like radiation exposure. So, and I believe it's been a while since I read the other book. I can't even tell you what the name of it is off the top of my head. I believe Alexi Holt, who's in this novel, was the person that came and rescued him. And so she's been trying to defend him ever since. He was on Earth whenever Devil and Stone reactivated, and so he was there when Devil and Stone was killed. I was kind of surprised that the old Illican didn't hold on to him and just kind of like shoved him out of the room, which gave him the opportunity to skedaddle. So yeah, so they're trying to get a hold of him. They have a bunch of Comstar's materials. They have some stuff that they got from the Clan Goliath Scorpion, the oldest Scorpio Imperium, because they're collectors of things, which includes like old Star League stuff. And they had a bunch of papers from back when they started actually trying to figure out how to make the HPGs. And so, yeah, so the part of the big parts of the book are a cat and mouse game trying to find Tucker Harwell, and then some other events. So even though it is more like a spy espionage type book, there are a number of battle mech fights and another, hand-to-hand combat and whatnot, and a lot of well, not a lot, it's some action out in space. So overall, I liked the book. I thought it was pretty well written. I blew through it a lot faster than the last book that I read, which again wasn't the fault of the other book. This book is like 110 pages shorter. It's 280, hang on, counting the acknowledgement, it is 287 pages. But it flies by pretty quick. Some of the chapters a little bit shorter, and yeah, overall I like the book. I've liked the other books by Bryan Young that I've read, and nothing really that I would say is an issue here. I will address one thing that I see people complain about for Bryan Young's books, or possibly him in person. I don't know. I don't follow these people online, but I do take in a lot of other BattleTech material, and that does include people who, for one reason or another, have a severe dislike of Catalyst and are very vocal about it. I am not one of these people. I wouldn't keep buying the books if I did. If I was, wouldn't keep buying the miniatures either. So I'm not entirely certain what the basis of their disgruntlement is. Sometimes I know exactly what it is. But like with Bryan Young, I don't know. I really hope it's not just the fact that some of his characters are not straight. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, people like that exist in the real world. They will presumably continue to exist well into the future, presumably till the end of the human race. And as such, there's no reason for them to not be present in novels. I don't feel like he's shoehorning them in there. I feel like since BattleTech is setting such that there doesn't, at least as far as I've encountered in any books, doesn't appear to be like racism and sexism that exists in our real world, seems to have mainly fallen by the wayside 1,000 years in the future. They mainly are concerned with, can you pilot a battle mech? Are you good with killing people? Then you're set. Like, there doesn't seem to be any stigma against women in the military or anything at all like that. So I don't know why people would expect there to not be non-straight characters. And it's not like he's the first one to introduce them. I believe, if I recall correctly, Katana Tormark had a girlfriend. So, and that's, I don't know about anything farther beyond past the Dark Age. I haven't read those novels. So the point I'm driving at here is that I didn't feel like anything in this book was forced. I've made comments in some of our other videos. To me, as far as like representation, I'm for representation. My gripe is when they change existing characters and adaptations. I don't care for that. But that's the extent of it. I don't care for it. I'll talk about it on a couple of the videos. I'm still probably going to go see the movies, whatever they are. So, with a handful of exceptions, the ones where I think they really dropped the ball, like Namor and Black Panther 2. But no, so nothing here to me feels like the well-known at this point fact that Disney literally uses a checklist. This did not feel like that. This felt like Bryan Young was presented with an opportunity to include other characters which we typically don't see, and chose to do so. And it feels organic to me anyway, so I don't see why anyone would complain about that. And it's not just that either. It's also, illustrating characters who aren't on average, most of the protagonists are white in BattleTech. Not all. There's several Asian characters, and, there are other characters that are black, and at least one that I didn't realize was black, because, it just skipped over, and it wasn't until someone else was describing him that I realized, it was so low-key because they don't make a big deal about it, and so sorry, excuse me, I gotta get a drink. So, if one author, or all of them, but if one of them in particular wants to add additional characters who don't quite fit the mainstream mold, that's fine. That's actual representation. That does not at all detract from the storyline. And again, like I was trying to say, there's a tank gunner that we meet at one point who's a Sikh, and I don't think I've come across a single Sikh, or just in general from the subcontinent character. Well, obviously they probably wouldn't actually be from India, but their ancestors would have been before they went to space. I don't know if I've come across a single character like that in the other BattleTech books. At least not off the top of my head, I can remember one anyway. And so, it's a diverse setting. It's okay to show the diversity is what I'm trying to get here, and hopefully don't sound like a fool somehow. So, no, I don't have any kind of a problem with any of that, and, neither should you. It's not super blatant. There's no sex scenes or anything like that. And it's literally one character, well, two characters. And they're also, clan characters. And I don't know if I've really explained this in these videos, but the clans have an entirely different view about sex in general. So, that's, if you're going to go that route, I mean, to me, that's the obvious place to start. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, for any of you out there that are like, oh, I don't know, I've heard things, like, it's fine. Like, you're not gonna, it doesn't detract from the book at all, nor would I expect it to. Like, again, I'm trying to word this in such a way where it doesn't sound like I'm being condescending or like, well, occasionally those characters, like, no, I don't mean it like that at all. Like, I'm just trying to warn you, like, people out there are virulently opposed to Mr. Young in particular, as near as I can tell. And again, I'm just not getting it. It cannot be from the writing, okay? And that's the main thing I care about. So overall, I think it's a good book. It moves things forward. Probably, like, some comments in it might seal the deal on us basically never finding out what happened on Grey Monday completely. Because, like, Tucker Harwell does point out at one point, like, we still don't know and we may never know. Like, I think that was the wink and a nod to the audience of, like, we could tell you, but, like, no answer at this point is going to be satisfying. Plus, it helps if we leave some mysteries out there. This is one of those things that, like, whenever the sales really slump, it's going to be answer Grey Monday, have the Wolverine clan show back up, have the Homeworld clans show back up, and maybe the Word of Blake rematerialize. Like, those are the aces in the hole to bump up sales, should it come to it. And that's probably some other things I don't know about. A Cameron will show back up too, or a long-lost descendant of the usurper Amorous. But yeah, so overall, good book. I definitely recommend it. I don't really rate the books. If I did, it's pretty fast. I only have a handful of minor complaints that I'm going to get to in the spoilers. Not really complaints, but observations, and I was able to guess one aspect of the ending. And I'll get to that in the spoiler section because I don't want to spoil it here. But yeah, so I'm not going to rank it. I'm just going to say you should definitely read it. Kind of moves the plot along incrementally, not big sweeping changes, but things are moving in a direction where things could eventually change. Good action, decent writing, good excuse for the clan characters to use contractions. So yeah, overall, definitely check it out. Going to be going to the spoilers here in a moment, so if you're cutting out here, I would always appreciate like, share, subscribes, and all that fun stuff. Sharing, commenting, help us grow the channel. I always appreciate it. Let me know what you think of books like this. Did you hear about this from the Facebook group? Anything at all like that? Shit, hit me up down in the comments. But now we're going into the spoiler section. So you have been warned. Spoilers ahead. We're into spoiler waters now. So, I am pretty sure that Bryan Young is a James Bond fan, because very early on in the book, and I made some notes this time as I was actually reading the book. Unfortunately, they're on my phone, which I'm using to record. So, page 16, though, there is a character who shows up, and her name is, and it's not super important to the plot, just here, Ginevra Zorin. Now, that's a very unusual name, and Zorin immediately began setting off warning bells in my mind, especially when I find out she works for the company BattleTech. Now, for those of you who are unaware of where I'm going with all this, one of my favorite Bond movies is A View to a Kill, which has Christopher Walken as the villain, whose name is Max Zorin. So, either this is like pure cosmic coincidence, which I don't believe because of some other things, or this was definitely some inspiration. And there's no problem with inspiration from other things. I'm not trying to knock that. The only problem was this put my mind into, okay, well, this is here for a reason. This is a tip-off. And as such, I was looking for other references, either specifically to A View to a Kill or to James Bond in general. So very shortly after this, our main character is, I'm going to get her name so I don't keep just calling her the main character, Kenja. she is with the gentleman. They've infiltrated the company. I think it's Irian, and they're in the server room, and they start planting charges. And the whole time I'm just like, two agents planting charges, kind of like the beginning to GoldenEye. And then of course he gets shot and she doesn't see it happen. And I was like, yeah, just like GoldenEye. Is she going to adjust the timers on the bombs by any chance? And no, it didn't quite go that far. But yeah, so like throughout the whole book, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, because there's another force. Like, they find Tucker like about halfway through the book and get a hold of him, and he starts to work, comes up with a solution that then they test the solution. The solution seems to work, and so now they're going to go and take it to Twycross and try to implement it there, and then begin working their way out, trying to repair the grid. And they get ambushed a few times, and I'm like, okay, well, clearly it's someone that knows what they're doing, that knows their protocols. Like, boy, I wonder if that other agent isn't really dead and is in fact now scarred from the bombs and takes personal affront to all of this and is against the Sea Foxes, and maybe even has like a different background from everyone else. And I get to the end, and sure enough, he's still alive. He's burned. He started life as a wolf and transferred over to Clan Sea Fox because of a trial somewhere along the way, and wants to go back to Clan Wolf. And I'm just like, like, on the one hand, bravo. Like, you know, you definitely picked a good Bond movie to emulate in GoldenEye, but like, that one little tip-off, the whole Zoran thing at the beginning, was all it took for me to know these other things were coming, because it immediately jumped to the server thing, and like the whole setup was just too much like the beginning of GoldenEye. Now again, I'm not complaining. If you've never seen GoldenEye, obviously you're not going to know this, and it being an older movie, plus it's a good movie to emulate. Like, I have no problem with authors, you know, borrowing from movies and other books and everything. Like, you know, it's what people do, you know. So this isn't any kind of complaint about Mr. Young's work here or anything. It's just one of those, like, throughout the whole book, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then it finally does. And I was just like, yep, saw this coming since like page 16. But yeah, no, like, if you're going to copy, you know, or sorry, I don't want to say he's copying. He's not copying. If you are going to pay homage to, then pay homage to the best. And GoldenEye is on the better end of the Bond movies. So, but yeah. So there's, like I said in the other part, you know, there's a number of battles. There's some clan trials along the way for things. They find themselves grabbing Tucker on a Federated Suns world, and then head to one of their holdings, and then they have to go into House Kirita space to test, because that's all the farther they can get the signal. And there ends up being some fighting there, and that's where we're introduced to the mercenaries that are working for them, with the bizarre tank crew. I think it's an Irishman leading them, or a Scotsman, and then the Sikh tank gunner, and, you know, everyone else there. So, and again, you know, it felt like a natural introduction to, you know, it's like, you got this big character, you know, make him something. It's not just a rando white dude, you know. BattleTech's got it's got everything, you know. Throw something else in there. Made sense to me. So, yeah. So ultimately it ends up with Tucker, Alexi Holt, and the other gentleman as bondsmen of Clan Sea Fox. And then in the end, Kenja cuts their bond cords, and they all basically, at least for the moment, agree to stay with Clan Sea Fox, because Tucker wants to help repair the grid now that they've got it up and running, at least a couple HPG stations. But he knows it's probably going to take, you know, possibly the rest of his lifetime, because of the distances they're going to have to travel. He's got to send people out that know what they're doing. They've got to test it. Just the sheer number of HPGs. I mean, this is not something that's going to be fixed overnight. If they're smart, what they'll eventually do is send out multiple groups to different areas and start, instead of just trying to sweep across the inner sphere from Twycross. So, yeah. Overall, like I said, like the book. The main character, interesting character. She's a spy as opposed to a typical warrior, so that's a little different. Alexi Holt and Tucker Harwell, it's like, just like the last book, we're talking Ghosts of the Past from the Dark Age era here. And, it's nice to see some of the plot lines from the Dark Age era be advanced, head towards a conclusion, Like, I think Tucker's plot line here could probably just be wrapped up in a book somewhere down the road, like an era digest or something, where it's like, and then Tucker continued fixing the HPG grid for the rest of his days, or something like. We probably don't need him for anything else, but it was nice to see that. Presumably Alexi Holt will stay by his side. Just like in the other book, it was nice to see, a number of the Republic people that were still alive after the conquest of Terra. So, yeah, overall, like I said, I like the book. Definitely worth a read. And, yeah, that's about all I can say about it. You want to see, like, kind of some of the inner machinations of Clan Seafox a little bit. Don't know if it's the best book I'd go for that, but it does show, quite a bit, and how they interact with some other clans and things like that. So, anyway, overall, I liked it. Definitely worth a read. But that's all I've got to say on this one. So, let me know what you folks think down in the comments. Yes, if you stuck around, you're getting the blurb again. Sorry. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting help us grow the channel. Have you read this book yet? You plan on trying to check it out? How far along are you in the BattleTech book series? Anything at all like that? Do you want to know more about Clan Seafox, Tucker Harwell, Clan Ghost Bear, whoever else they encountered along the way? Anything else? Do you want to know more about the HPG stations? I'm thinking about doing a video on those. But, yeah, just let me know any of that stuff down in the comments. But other than that, and subscribing, obviously, because that's the metric here on YouTube. And, we're over 500 now, and we appreciate that. And literally couldn't have done it without you folks. So, stick with us and see where it goes. But, yeah, that's all I've got. So just remember, no guts, no galaxy.